Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the pre-election 2018 information session for individuals that are considering running in the upcoming election on October the 24th for either mayor, councillor, or school trustee. Just off the hop, I mean, obviously anybody that's visually challenged, please move up to the front so that you're able to sort of view the information that we have for you tonight. This is the second time that the city has co-hosted with the school district of Mystery Lake and putting on sort of an informational session for individuals that were interested in, for running for office in the municipal election. So tonight really we'll be focusing on a number of components. With me I also have Dave Turpey, who is the senior election official for the city of Thompson, and Angel Bartlett, who is the superintendent of human resources and policy for the school district of Mystery Lake. So really is Dave, as we go through the introductions, he'll get into the specifics and requirements as to what you need to do to register and some of the key dates in the election of individuals that are considering running for one of those three components. I'll talk a little bit about excuse me, Gary Sepatelli, city manager, for you who do not know me. I'll talk a little bit about sort of the role of council, roles and responsibility of council, city manager, and mayor, and then turn it over to Angel Bartlett, who will talk the roles and responsibilities of administration and trustees for the school district of Mystery Lake. So at this point, I'll call upon Dave to go through some of the specifics for registering and information that individuals may require.
Okay, we have the candidate registration. A lot of you have gotten a hold of me already for the forms and that. I have, for those of you that haven't picked them up, I have them with me tonight. If you're still thinking about which one to run for, I have all three. The registration dates are pretty well, they've all started, so the finishing date is September the 18th, and that's at 4 o'clock, and I'll be at the, in the City Hall Rotunda there till 4 o'clock taking all the applications. The nominations will be, as I say, closed at 4 o'clock on September the 18th. Campaign period was started for mayors on May the 1st, and it goes through, it says there, till March 31st of 2019, and that's because that's the final date of the of any of your financials that have to come in, and Gary will go through that later. The councilors and school trustees, again, June the 30th to March 31st, 2019. Okay. The key dates, one being the withdrawal date. If you decide at the last minute that you don't want to run, September the 19th is the only and last day that you can remove your registration. So be aware of that. I generally go over it with you when you turn your papers in, but if I happen to miss it, remember that date. Election day is October the 24th, as we all know, and that's a Wednesday, and we are open from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. Filing of the election financial statements, again, as I say, you have till May 22nd of 2019 to make sure that all your finance, and that's only for mayor and council. Trustees do not need to file a financial statement. I'm the senior election officer for the city. I'm responsible for running the election and making sure that everybody's up to par on what they're supposed to be doing. There are regulations, rules and regulations that I, from time to time, will call upon you to either remove stuff, or if you're having signs on properties, they cannot be within 150 meters of a polling site. The city manager, Gary, is right now he's the election of finance officer, but I guess you'll be relinquishing that as of the 25th of October, so we'll introduce you to the new one right away.
We'll take questions at
At
the
the
end.
end, probably at the end, yeah, if you can just keep note. Who may run? Okay, a Canadian citizen has to be at least 18 years of age on the day of the election, a resident of Manitoba, a voter in the municipality which you are seeking office. So to qualify as a voter, you must be a resident of the or property owner in the municipality for at least 6 months, and that was as of April 24th or 25th in that area of this year. An employee of the municipality, regional municipal body, or school district, providing they have taken a leave of absence. If you are a municipal or school district employee and wish to run for a municipal council or school board, please speak to your city manager or superintendent. Okay. Oh, who may not run? Oh, sorry about that. A councillor or candidate running for office in another municipality, which we don't generally have a problem with, although we have had calls from people outside of the city. A candidate running for school trustee cannot run for office as a councillor. A member of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba for the Senate or House of Commons, like Kelly Bindle or Nikki Ashton, right? Sorry about that. A candidate running for school trustee, again, cannot run for council, okay? That question's been asked to me a few times. A provincial judge or justice of the peace, a judge of the court or Queen's Bench or Court of Appeal. Those who have previously been convicted of an election offense or failed to pay a fine after being convicted of other offenses under the Municipal Act or any other act are disqualified from running. Okay, the registration is what I will take in. I will be taking them at a set location starting the 4th at City Hall, as I say in the foyer. From, I believe my dates are, they'll be in the paper starting next week. The September 4th, 7th, 10th, 14th, 17th, and 18th are all the days I will be sitting from 11 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon to take applications at City Hall. You can call me any other time. I'll come to the house, or you can come to my place. It doesn't matter, but we'll get them into place whenever you want to get them registered. Candidates must fill out the registration form available from the municipality's SEO, myself. Candidates must register within a certain time frame. Again, May 1st to the 18th was the mayor, and school trustees and councilors were June 30th to September 18th. To register, candidates must provide their name and address, identify the office they are seeking, mayor or councilor. Important, the voters list may only be used for election purposes during the campaign period. It is illegal for the use of voters to use the voters list for any other purpose. Now, I have been giving it out to people who have requested it, which is fine, but I ask you as of the 25th to destroy it because it is a quite personal document and I don't want them floating around. Nominations. All candidates must file nomination papers available from the SEO in order to run for in the election. Papers must be filed during the nomination period, which I've given you, September 4th to the 18th. You may wish to file early in the case you need to correct any errors. That is one thing that I'm suggesting you do. The SEO cannot accept a nomination after the deadline has passed. If your nomination papers are not accepted by the close of nominations, you are not eligible to run for office. And the other situation that you can get into is that you all know that there's 25 names required. I tell you to get 30 or 35, because if all of a sudden names aren't coming up on my list that I have, or the city has, and we can't prove the person lived here since April, and I have to cross them off of your sheet, and you've only given me 25, and I've crossed off 4 at 4 o'clock on the 18th, you're not registered. So beware that the earlier you get it in, the easier it is for me to run down names, longer period to run them down, and to make sure that your papers are accepted. Completed nomination papers must include your name, the name you commonly go by. This will be in the name that is shown on the ballot. So it is a good idea to use the name people are most familiar with. So you can use a pseudonym, but within reason.
I'll give you an example. Guido Oliviera, many people don't really even realize what his real name is, and he ran
Under Guido,
not
yeah.
a legal name, but other people probably wouldn't even recognize.
Yeah.
Emmanuel is his real name.
Home address and telephone number where you can be contacted, for example, cell, home, or business. The office you are seeking, mayor, councilor, but I have them all marked on the documents, so there should be no mix-up there. A declaration taken under the oath that you are qualified to be nominated and that the information provided is true. The declaration can either be made in advance or administered by the SEO at the time of the nomination papers are filed. The names, addresses, and signatures of the number of eligible voters needed to support your nomination. As I say, 25, but you should get at least 30, 35. We found that people move around and we can't trace them all of a sudden. The city of Thompson is an at-large election of a mayor, councilors, and school trustees, which means your nomination papers must be signed by at least 25 people on the voters list, or eligible for the voters list, it should also say. Withdrawing, here again. Once you have filed nomination papers, you may withdraw if you are no longer able to run. This decision should not be taken lightly, and as a result, candidates may only withdraw if the following 2 conditions are met. So be aware of this one. Your withdrawal is signed in the presence of a witness and filed with the SEO no later than 24 hours after the close of nominations, which is September the 18th. So that means the 19th at 4 o'clock. If there are enough candidates to fill the office you were seeking. So if only 7 councilors are there, you can't withdraw. You'll be running. If there's only 1 for mayor, it's by acclamation. Okay? Acclamation. There are times when the number of nominated candidates is equal to or less than the number of candidates to be elected. In this case, the SEO must declare the candidate or candidates elected by acclamation, meaning there is no vote. And that'll cost us a fair bit. But anyway, order of name on the ballot is by random, so I picked them out of a hat. The name that is drawn first will appear first on the ballot, name drawn, second will appear, and so on and so forth. Okay. The finance rules, I think, do you want to go over those?
No, go directly. I don't have the specifics on that.
Okay. Campaign period, candidates can accept contributions and spend money on their election. So that's from those periods that we showed you earlier, so everything's open right now. Candidates to have a campaign account prior to accepting monetary contributions from others for the purposes of the campaign. So a lot of you don't want to solicit funds, so there is no, they just put a void or a zero balance on that, right? So you have to submit it, but you could just submit it as zero. But if you're soliciting donations, and it can only be from individuals, cannot be from corporates or unions, anonymous contributions are not allowed.
Can you spend your own money?
Yes, up to 2,500. I've got it in my book here. I'll just double check it. I'll give you that number right away.
We'll open up for questions at the end of the presentation.
So please talk to me to find out all the rules for your campaign finance rules. And Gary is also in charge of that, so.
Thank you very much, David. I mean, obviously that there is a lot of information, key dates, requirements that are sought after for individuals that are seeking office. So, please, after this session, if there's still more questions, to seek out Dave. Obviously, his contact information will be up on the screen. There's a number of other resources that are available to all. City of Thompson has information on our website in regards to the election. The province of Manitoba has information in regards to municipal elections that are the same across the province. And plus there will be a number of advertisements that have already gone out and will continue to go out up to the election. So the message is that a lot of information to take home tonight, but obviously is to sort of, if there are questions and you don't ask them tonight or think of something after this session is done, please either reach out to Dave or myself. As he said, I mean, to get the information in regards to the financing rules, and really it's a consistent process across Manitoba as to what everybody has to fill out and the process that they have to go through, and whether they're getting not getting any contributions or whether they're getting contributions from another number of other individuals. There's still a process that has to be followed and tracked, and really gives candidates, whether they're successful or not, to file by that March 31st of 2019. So at this point, I'll talk a little bit about the municipal side of it prior to turning it over to Angel. Then I'll talk a little bit about the school district side of it, and then at that point, I mean, obviously open it up to questions in all fields from individuals, depending on who or what position that you may be running for. So as can be evidenced that really Manitoba has a 4-year term of office. That 4-year, this term will be October 25th to October of 2022. Manitoba went to a 4-year election process back in 1997. Prior to 1997, it was a 3-year term of office. So it's been 4-year term of office, and most municipalities across Canada are on that 4-year cycle. The term officially begins at noon following election day. So for city council, really the way that the schedule is in our organizational procedural bylaw is that the new council is sworn in the first Wednesday of November. The first Wednesday of November this year is November the 7th. So that's when council will be sworn in, and then subsequently the first council meeting will happen after November the 7th. Time commitment for individuals considering running for mayor or councillor, that there's regular scheduled meetings of council every 2 weeks on the Mondays, and on holidays, which is coming up next week, that meeting schedule reverts to the following day, which is the Tuesday. So you're normally meeting two council meetings per month. Council goes to an abbreviated schedule in the summertime for July and August, of which there's one meeting per month, and then we're back to the regular schedule come September again. So those are the regular meetings of council, and usually what's scheduled as well, if there's an opportunity or a need to have an in-camera meeting of council, will happen on the same night of council. Municipal Act does allow for the setup of special meetings, whether they're in-camera meetings or are the regular meetings, and there's a process that's followed, which is contained in the City of Thompson's organizational and procedural bylaw. So all of members of council, and all members of council include mayor and the councilors, are required to attend all meetings of council. So that's special meetings, committee meetings and board meetings, and various public meetings and functions. And most of these meetings do occur in the evenings, for instance, council meetings, financial plan, whether there's a special improvement plan, those type of things, because really you want to try to reach as many people as possible. There are a number of other standing committees of council, of which council does appoint a number of councils to sit on those committees, but they are open to all of the council and public. So duties of an elected official. So really the City of Thompson is comprised of a mayor and 8 councilors. So for 9 members of council. So you're part of a team that will develop and evaluate policies and programs. So really the main rationale or the main reason for a mayor and council is to set the governance and policies that administration operates by in order to deliver the programs and services for residents of the City of Thompson. So really it's the governance perspective is to ensure that those policies, programs are put into place that really are most effective and meet the needs in the most efficient way as possible. There is remuneration for mayor and council, and as identified on the screen, really that the mayor is paid just under $30,000 annually, deputy mayor just over $11,000 annually, and a councilor just under $10,000 annually. So those are remuneration rates that have been set through a bylaw of the City of Thompson. A big component which really has been front and center in the news across Canada for really consistently over on an ongoing basis is a conflict of interest. So as elected officials are subject to the legislation that's put into place by the province of Manitoba, the Conflict of Interest Act, and there are specific rules that all members of council abide by to ensure that decisions made by council are free from outside influence. An example of a conflict of interest, and conflict of interest can be both direct and indirect, is that I am a partner in a business that puts in a proposal and I then vote on that proposal. That's in a direct conflict of interest. So in those situations, obviously that individual should be excusing themselves from council for those decisions on that specific topic. It's also, the legislation requires all elected officials to sign statements disclosing all their assets and interests. So prior to them, or once they're elected, is that they fill out there is that I'm the owner of business A, I've got this property, and so on and so forth. And that's public record, and that record is viewable by any member of the public during regular office hours. So that's a requirement that all elected officials have to provide. And really, like I said, public record, and any individual ratepayer in the City of Thompson can go in and see what those assets and interests are of an individual elected official. Role of city manager. So, as I mentioned, the council is comprised of a mayor and 8 councilors. They have 1 employee. The 1 employee is the city manager or chief administrative officer. City of Thompson has designated that role and titled it city manager. So really the city manager directs and manages the business affairs of the municipality in accordance with the bylaws, resolutions, plans, policies that council puts into place. So council provides that overall direction. City manager carries out the business activities based on that direction that has been provided primarily through resolution or bylaw at council. Council can only act by 2 actions, is either by resolution or by bylaw. So I report, as Dave said, I mean, obviously to council as a whole, rather to the mayor or individual councilors. So really I report to the entire body. As David indicated, obviously, that Anthony McGinnis, who's in the front row, Anthony, if you stand up, wave your hand. Anthony has taken over as city manager upon my departure in 2 months. The other aspects, and really the roles and responsibilities of a city manager are outlined very specifically in the Municipal Act. So if you check out the Municipal Act, roles and responsibilities of city manager, these are the roles and responsibilities. And every city manager or chief administrative officer in the province of Manitoba are responsible for the same things. So really it gives general and specific guidance to staff, prepares long and short-range financial plans, records minutes of every council meeting, responsible for recording revenues and expenses and spending, and provides information to the province. So really is that, as I said, really the guiding document for municipal corporations in Manitoba is the Municipal Act outside the City of Winnipeg. The City of Winnipeg has their own act. The rest of all municipalities, the other 137 municipalities in the province, are governed by the Municipal Act. So really it's the duties that are required, and this is for the role of mayor, as well as, and these roles are set out in the Municipal Act, is to provide when in attendance at a council meeting, except where procedures, bylaw, or any other act otherwise provides. As indicated, the City of Thompson is guided by, as one of the requirements in the Municipal Act, is to adopt an organizational and procedural bylaw. Every municipality has to adopt those proponents as to the direction and requirements laid out in the Municipal Act. So the City of Thompson has an organizational and procedural bylaw. The requirements of the act are that it be reviewed a minimum of one time per term of council. The practice of City Council over the last few terms is that it's reviewed on an annual basis as you make changes to certain clauses or policies that are in there. But that sort of sets out that procedure. So when the mayor is not in attendance, the chair then falls to the deputy mayor. If the deputy mayor is not in attendance at a meeting, then council would elect somebody to serve as chair for that meeting. So all those rules and regulations are laid out in the organizational procedure bylaw, which are in accordance with the Municipal Act. So the mayor also is basically providing leadership and direction to council, perform any other duty or function assigned to the head of council, by council, or by any other act. The role is unique and it's elected separately. So as David indicated, on the ballots that'll go forth on election day, there will be 3 columns. There'll be a column for school trustees, where you can pick up to 7 individuals. There'll be a column for mayor, where you can pick up to 1 individual. And there will be a column for councilors, where you can pick up to 8 individuals. So he chairs or she chairs all council meetings, and as indicated, provides leadership and direction to council, and really works closely with the CAO. So the relationship between the mayor and the CAO is very important to ensure that the policies and procedures of the municipality are carried out to the wishes of council. Role of council. So really, as well, very identified specifically in the Municipal Act as to sort of what the duties are. And really from an overall perspective is that when decisions are being made in the well-being and interest of the municipality as a whole. They are to participate in developing and evaluating policies and programs, which really sets that governance piece, which is then transferred down to administration to implement. To participate in all meetings of council, to keep in confidence in-camera discussions, and any other duty imposed by the province. So for individuals who may not be aware, as a sort of the 2 different components of council meetings is your regular meeting of council, which is open to the public, and then you have your in-camera meeting of council, which is enclosed or behind closed doors, that discusses certain issues that fall within the parameters that are stated in the Municipal Act. And some of those aspects are human resource issues, contracts, those type of things, where you have to have those discussions in confidence in order to sort of determine as to sort of the direction that council wants to proceed on them. And really it's, because some of the development issues that are addressed as well, they're at an early stage, so you don't want to jeopardize sort of the ongoing development of somebody wanting to sort of develop in the community. So there are strict things that a council can bring in camera, but council, all of council, mayor, are really not at liberty to divulge any of that information to outside that room, to members of the public. It can't be divulged until it's brought forth to a regular meeting of council, where it's dealt with by either resolution or bylaw. So that really sort of from a very high level, I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of questions which we'll get at the end. But at this point, we'll turn it over to Angel Bartlett, Superintendent of Human Resources and Policy of the School District of Mystery Lake, and she'll tell you a little bit about sort of the roles and responsibilities of the school and the trustees.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate seeing all these faces. And you know what? I'm going to commend you all. Running for public office is a great thing to do, and it's a big time commitment. So for those of you who are interested in doing so, I commend all of you. You're going to find that there are things with regards to Gary's presentation that are very similar in terms of the way things, when he's referring to the municipality or the Municipal Act, I'm referring to the Public Schools Act. So we're just going to go with the responsibilities of a school trustee. You will be part of a team that develop and evaluate policy and programs, ensure that our community has a say in public education, and help build the economic and social strength of our community by building strong public schools. That is our mandate, and it's always kids first. Provide adequate school accommodations for every resident having the right to attend school, and ensure that each student is provided with a safe and caring learning environment. So again, there's some remuneration. School trustees received $12,308 annually, paid monthly. The chairperson receives $14,308 annually, paid monthly, and the vice chair gets $13,308 paid annually on a monthly basis. So that's what we refer to as the remuneration or the stipend. Conflict of interest. Again, all elected officials are subject to law-standing conflict of interest legislation. This, in our view, is outlined in the Public Schools Act. We also have procedural bylaws pertaining to this. So the rules are to ensure that decisions made by the school board are free of outside influence, the legislation also requires an elected official to file a statement of disclosing all assets and interests. The statement is available to the public for inspection at the school board office during regular office hours. So very similar to running for council or mayor's office. Okay, the role of the superintendent. Within the school district of Mystery Lake, we have what we refer to as a co-superintendent model. So I myself as a superintendent, my portfolio specifically is human resources and policy development. The other co-superintendent is Lori Henderson, and she looks after programming and all the student services end of things. The model has been in place for, probably about 8 years, about 2 terms. The model prior to this, at one point, there was a superintendent, and there were 2 assistant superintendents at that time. So we've both been in this co-superintendent model for about 8 years. So those are the only 2 employees that the school trustees would have any governance over, would be myself and Lori. So the role, required by the Public Schools Act and duties set by bylaw, directs and manages the business affairs of the school district in accordance with bylaws, resolutions, and plans interacted by the school board. Reports to the school board as a whole rather than to one trustee or the chairperson or individual trustees. Supports the development of community of learners through commitment to excellence in education by providing leadership in the implementation of human resources management, educational services, and programs. Gives general and specific guidance to staff, prepares long and short-range financial plans, responsible for ensuring financial accountability for projects, programs, and services, adheres to the board governance models and all policies and limitations thereof as developed by the Board of Trustees, and provides information to the province. Role of the chairperson. Here where there's a bit of difference in terms of when you're going to the polls, you're not going to elect a chairperson. All trustees are elected, and then they will, during the first meeting of the school trustees, will elect a chairperson amongst themselves. So it's not like somebody who's running for mayor. Okay, so they are to they are to preside when in attendance at school board meetings, except when procedures or bylaws or any other act otherwise provides. To provide leadership and direction to the school board. To perform any other duty or function assigned to the chairperson by the school board or by any other act. The school board chairperson is voted in by their peers at the first meeting of each school year. So again, it's something that happens annually. So in the 4-year term, you could have 4 different chairpersons, essentially. The school board, or chairs all school board meetings, provides leadership and direction to the school board, and works closely with the superintendents in this situation. Oh, is the role of school trustee? Oh, sorry. So the role of a school trustee is required by the Public Schools Act and duties set by bylaws to consider the well-being and the interest of the school districts, to participate generally in developing and evaluating policies and programs, to participate in meetings of the school board, and to keep confidence in camera discussions and any other duties imposed by the province. I just wanted to add something there. Oh, we meet twice a month as well, and we meet on Tuesdays. That's kind of the schedule that's been set, and it's been like that kind of for quite some time, as well as we also have special committees that, trustees will be asked to sit on as well. So, that's all I have.
Thanks, Angel. Before... So just before we turn it over to a question period, obviously that we have 4 counselors that are in attendance tonight as well. So if you do have questions as a specific role as a counselor, if you're running for councilor or mayor, by all means seek them out. I'm sure that they'd be more than willing to sort of give you some information as to sort of their experience has been on council, whether it's been one term or multiple terms. The other thing as well, and I can get Angel to talk a little bit as well, is that I implore that anybody that's thinking of running for one of the 3 positions for elected office, whether it's school trustee, counselor, or mayor, please check out the website at the City of Thompson. I'll let Angel talk a little bit about the school district of Mystery Lake, but there's a wide variety of information that's on there. So really, as indicated, that there are some major pieces of legislation that we are governed by, as the same as what the school district is as well. But obviously our organizational and procedural bylaw is one of our main tenets of how we operate. So, take a look at that. You have a better understanding of the structure of the makeup of council and the standing committees and what the roles and responsibilities of those committees are. There's a ton of financial information if you're looking at want to get a little bit more insight in there. But please go through the city's website. It may give you more insight and answer some of the questions that you may have or that are thinking about, and I'm sure that school district of Mystery Lake would have sort of the same type of approach to their website.
And I understand, particularly for those of you who are not, are new to running for a public office, or not even, there's people that come on the school board that aren't even really familiar with the Robert Rules of Order. I assure you that, if it's something that's deterring you from running, we put on orientation sessions, we'll go over procedural bylaws, the administrative procedures within the school district, as I'm sure. So I know that people they find it overwhelming because they're not quite sure of how these really official meetings run. But I like I say, we will provide orientation sessions for sure.
And great point. The City of Thompson does the same thing. So council that comes in, council and mayor that comes in, will get an orientation binder that sort of gives a background history, some of the issues, so that are able to get caught up to speed immediately. Council has passed a council orientation policy back in 2014, of which the City of Thompson had brought in a third party to really give a training orientation session to council and go through specifically on an 8-hour session as to all the roles and responsibilities, as opposed to just hitting it to, like we did tonight, at a very high level. So it goes into a number of scenarios and really give you a better sense as to sort of what those responsibilities are now that you are an elected official. So I'll turn it over to Dave because he's got some information on the campaign financing. That was a question that was asked by Jeff.
Also, before I get into that, there's a lot of you got the book that it's called the Municipal Candidates Guidebook. If you are running, I ran out. They only send us 12 copies, so we've run out, but I believe Samantha's got hers here tonight, and if anybody wants to see it, but I have it online. Just give me your email address. I will send you the connection to get it online. It's quite a lengthy email address. you send me your email, I'll send you the contact. Also, the campaign financing was asked. Residents, only residents of Manitoba are allowed to contribute to municipal campaigns. Union, corporate, and anonymous donations are banned. There is a $1,500 per contributor limit to a candidate for head of council and a councillor elected at large. There's a $750 per contributor limit to a candidate for a councillor elected by ward. We do not have wards, so everybody is open to the $1,500 limit by one individual. Okay, that's your max, and including yourselves. So you, your wife could put in $1,500 to the campaign. Gifts in kind are considered donations, and their value must be considered in the contribution limit. Right. Right. Yeah. Because once you're starting to spend the money, you have to keep track of it all and submit both your expenses and your income where it came from. Yes. 15. Oh, I think it was that the city said.
Yeah, I want to say 10 for mayor and 5 for council, but I mean, it's something that we can put up on the city's website. And just to indicate as well, because I don't have the document in front of me, I think those are those values, but we'll confirm that. This presentation we'll also put up on the website. That's sort of it for people for information as well. Sorry, Les, I know that you like to write.
Go ahead. Les? Okay. The filing of, again, as I mentioned, filing of the election finance statement, regardless of whether nominated or elected, they must file an election finance statement with the chief administrative officer, which would be the city manager of the municipality. An election finance statement form is included in the campaign financing bylaw and in the guidebook for municipal candidates. So when you get that online, or if you want to see what the book looks like, I'll borrow Samantha's and you can.
So Dave, is that this information is on our website? Identify there under elections?
I'm not sure.
Is it in the book that's handed out as part of
Yes.
the
Yep.
Any other questions?
Go ahead, Les. No, it's the 6 schools, as well as City Hall for the advanced poll.
So those locations of polling station west will be out on an ad that was out a number of months ago, but we sent it out that identifies all the elementary schools, the advanced polls, as 150 meters.
Meters, yeah.
I got another question.
Go ahead. Unless, put your hand up if you have other questions. Yes, Brian? Yes. Yes, it's on the form that I give you to when you pick up your nomination papers.
I'll skip over the answer to somebody else, Mr. Mayor.
So the voters list, I get that from you.
Voters list, yes.
You talked about the disclosing the finances. Is that just business or it's personal as well?
You've got to fill out, I mean, and I'm not going into specifics, but it'll be identified on the form that you fill out as to sort of all that sort of qualifies for that public disclosure aspect. I believe it's all.
That's once you're elected, then you go to the city and they lay it all out.
You may not want to know the finances.
Always personal.
Yeah. Yes, Susan? No, well, if you have it locked into certain investments, that would be a disclosure that was required.
And we've got some counselors here that have filled them out, and they may be able to sort of shed some light on it as well.
Colleen?
That you have, or if say I'm a co-owner of a cruise campground, I have to put that, but I don't have to put anything else.
Right. You don't put the value of it, you put the,
At a high level, just so they know what you're.
yes, Simon? Only if you're running for council or mayor. You don't need to do it for school trustee. No, in your own name. Yeah. Just a separate, you could put it as a no trust account or something. Right. No. Yeah. You can spend your own money, but you have to account for it. Yeah. Advertising for the radio or TV or whatever. Yeah. Yes, Judy? Right. No, it is by legislation. That was, I believe it was a change in, if I'm not mistaken, 2004. Yeah. Yeah. Just for information, so far we only have one person serve their papers for mayor, which is Penny Byer. I've got two for sure for council. I've got Godfrey Bugera, and I've got Simon's not sure whether she's running for council or for trustees. So she has put two in, but she's going to tell me at some point to remove one. And then I've got Susan Oxford for school trustee. Those are the only ones that we've got papers for, so they're the only names I put out. I've had lots of papers picked up. Yes. Because as soon as you file, I have to submit it to the newspaper, and then they get a hold of you.
So, thank you very much for coming tonight. I know that we've got a good crowd here tonight that took time out of their day to come and learn a little bit more for individuals that are thinking of running for whether it's school trustee, counselor, or mayor. As indicated, please check out the websites of the school district and the city. There's a lot of information that may sort of guide you in your decision as to what you may want to do, or
I'm sure if you talk to past trustees, they would say that it was a very worthwhile experience. I can't say it.
Right, and sort of as a closing comment, by all means, reach out to existing trustees or councilors and get their take on their experience on council. Or as a trustee, and you might get that information that sways you or gives you that extra push that you want to submit your name to run for public office. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time.
I have the forms here, as I say, if anybody for registration, if you want to take them and get them back to me later, or if you're still thinking about it. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the voters list is the one that we're using from the 2016 provincial election. It'll be a permanent voters list eventually coming up on that. So you'll notice when you get it that there's a lot of names missing and a lot we need still to get people signed up. They can call me anytime, add their name. They don't have to show me their ID, but I will search out the ones that are questionable. But please tell people to get registered ahead of the election because it makes it so much quicker. Even though we're going electronic again, that really slows down things if they haven't registered prior. Just call. Thank you.